Hello everyone, this is the Double D Experience. I am Double, he is D, and that's Experience. It's a fucking Wednesday.
If you're the double, then I'm the D. That explains some things.
Yes.
I gotta say. These are muffy. I gotta say, like, you sound a little quieter, I will say. I have I changed my setup
Don't use
again.
that word. Don't use that word, man.
What word? Muffier?
Muffy. Just don't use that word.
Why not?
It's kind of a gross word. Yeah.
What is gross about having two muffins?
Vagina. Anyways, yes.
Imagine, like, instead of, like, earbuds, you just have two pussies, like, in between, like, your ears.
What if they queef on you? What are you gonna do then? That's not good.
No, there's definitely some sort of, like, particular, like, halogenetic virus that you can get specifically from having, like, queef air ingested through your ear holes.
Okay, then hypothetical. What do you think would be worse? A worldwide pandemic caused by a man eating a bat? Or a worldwide pandemic due to a girl's toxic pussy air?
The girl's toxic pussy air. I mean, at least that's funny. Like a man eating a bat. Let me tell you something right now. In Zombieland. In Zombieland, there's the Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg zombie comedy movie.
And Emma Stone and the whatever other white girl.
Stuff. You want to know how the zombie virus in that movie starts?
How?
It started with a bad burger at Burger King. And see, there you go. You're laughing. That's something even more fucked up, like a zombie virus. And bing, bang, boom, it's funny, alright?
You know what? Honestly, though, if I heard that, like, on the news, and, like, now even imagine, like, you know, if us hearing that, it would be funny. But, like, now imagine, like, they're in the newsroom, and, like, they hear, like, there's this new pandemic caused by, like, a girl's toxic pussy air.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they're, like, all, like, just, they're in that writing room, and we're just kind of like, Bob, we can't put this on there. It's like, it's what happened. It's like, I know, but we can't say that, a fucking worldwide pandemic was caused due to a girl's toxic pussy air. Like, we can't say a queef basically caused all this shit again. Like another pandemic.
I will say that is a very interesting conundrum, because aren't there certain words that they don't really say on a news broadcast?
Yeah, who's that body that basically, like, censors everything?
The body that the FCC.
Oh, is it the FCC? Okay. Yeah, like, they like I'm pretty sure, as far as, like, their guidelines, I don't know them off the top of my head, but, like, off their guidelines, I'm pretty sure, like, you can't say queef, like, on air, or, like, there's probably plenty of other words that you probably can't say. And, like,
they would say air excremental exhaust.
That sounds even more foul.
But it's, like, more appropriate words, because as we all know, you can show a guy getting shot in the head on the news, but God forbid you show a single titty.
But that's the thing. Like, they'd have to make it so just, like, bland and scientific. Like, they'd have to make it sound so bland and scientific that, like, it somehow, like, makes it better in a way. Like, I mean, personally speaking, like, I would give any news network some major props. Any of them. Even, like, the big four that we know. I don't even know if there is four, but, like, any of the big ones that we know of. I would give them mad props if they just straight up said. So, like imagine the guy's already, like, about to quit. It's his last week. He's about to go on to, like, another news network, get better paying job and all of that. So he's just basically fucking around for, like, the last week before he quits. And then, like, literally on the day he quits, he's like looking at the teleprompter, and he's just like, like, excremental vaginal exhaust. He's like, nah. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys real quick. This whole shit started because the girl's queef was just so bad that it just fucked up everything. Like,
he's got nothing to lose.
No, exactly. But then imagine, like, the next job he goes to, they saw that tape and they're like, yeah, sorry, Frank, we can't use you. Like, you don't got the job no more. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, you went against the FCC and you said plenty of, like, 20, 30 words that you shouldn't have said on air, and, like, the rest of the entire industry fucking hates you. The public love you. They fucking like are memeing the shit out of you. Like
he should have said muff.
You just muff.
If anything,
muff cabbage.
If anything, if he's not retiring and moving on to another news network, it would be like the worst possible time for him to do that and get fired, because there's a new pandemic starting and people are going to be watching the news like 24/7.
And also the casters are going to be doing the news from their homes. Which, that's what they did. That's what they did. Like
for a while, yeah. If anything, I don't even understand what the logistics of how that would start. Like, I want to talk about that more than just, like, what fuckers can say on the news about, the new pussy virus. I want to meet the man who decided to have a threesome with 2 women and plop his head down, like, in between the fucking, like, muffins and just get
all he heard was
farted on in the ears. Like,
all he heard was just...
Listen, man, I meditate, I listen to binaural beats, and, like, I imagine that would sound, like, slightly similar to, like, maybe waves or, like, the wind on the ocean or something like that.
It'd be the kind of ASMR you'd think you'd want, but then when you actually do it, it's actually, like, pretty terrible.
Oh, like those TikTokers that, like, make out with the camera?
What?
You never seen those before?
I don't look at TikTok, man.
I don't either, but, like, I see it on my roundabouts, on my waves.
I'm not really, like, on a lot of shit, though. That's the thing. Like, whenever my sister, like, shows me some new thing from TikTok, I usually just kind of am, like, an old man, and it's like, oh, that's cool.
Infinite love coming your way.
There's, like, TikTokers who literally, like, fucking, like, kiss the camera and shit to, like, simulate.
Oh, no, they kiss the mic, or they kiss the microphone. They're like...
Not even the mic. There's ones that do it from their phone, and they're like... Mwah, mwah, mwah,
oh, no, there's
mwah.
also them ASMR Twitch streamers where, like, they literally just... All they do is just sit on camera with a microphone in front of them and just, like, go...
Hello. You're being swept away by the sea.
And, like, they get, like, some weird, like, thing that they, like, it's like, I actually saw one where it's, like, hand shuffle, ASMR, and it's just, like...
Ooh.
I'm shuffling your cards. Deals into the table. Infinite wealth and prosperity coming your way. Are you gonna fold like a bitch? Are you gonna call like a real man? You might as well do it, pussy. You only have $2 left. Might as well just go all in. God knows it's the only pussy you're ever gonna get. Your wife already left you.
It just starts to get, like, spiraling down to, like, some real depressing shit.
I at least respect the TikTokers that work together when they're making out sounds on the camera. And they go from doing just, like, making out sounds to actually making out with each other. Be like, okay, you're embracing that what you do is basically some sort of very strange, altered personification of pornography. You're the one who at least commits to that sort of bit, instead of this weird alternate thing. Though I will say, I have listened to, like, certain audio erotica before, which is very unfortunate, because I listened to it once on Spotify, and now that shit is permanently on the front page of my recommendation of Spotify, which means if I'm in a car with some fuckers and they're passing me the aux, they're gonna see that shit and be like, David, what the hell is, like, peaches, like, juice erotica? I don't know, man. Sometimes you're in the bathtub and you can't watch.
No. I'm not making fun of you for that. It's just kind of like the library is just so fucking big now. Like, it's like, I don't know, back at least in the day, right? Like, we just had, like, I'm not saying, like, music was all we had or it was all we listened to, right? Yeah. But now, like, okay, you go on Spotify. At least years ago, it used to be like, okay, you just primarily listen to music. You listen to Rihanna. You listen to Fat Whale Lizzo, like, whoever the fuck, right? And then, like, now it's kind of like, okay, now you have, like, podcasts that you can listen to. You have just people whispering into the mic and telling you nice things as you float on to sleep. Or, like, even audiobooks too. Like, it's just way back when, like, I'm, and this is just me, like, just kind of almost saying this as if I just discovered fire, okay? Like, only because, like, I've only recently just started, like, listening to audiobooks. Didn't really finish a lot of them, but, like, it's, like, a great like a thing to do, like when you're just kind of wanting some time to pass. And like I've had plenty of flights too where like I was so happy that like I had an audiobook on hand, because like some plane rides just feel like, okay, yeah, they say it's 6 hours, but it feels like 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's just kind of amazing to see, because like even like, you know, games have also like just so expanded so much since back then, because like, you know, we went from Pong to like fucking Baldur's Gate. So like, you know, I'd like to think like, you know, it's just kind of gonna get bigger. And like also like VR games as well. I think they honestly are like, they should be like their own like genre in a way, because of just like the sort of like level of interactivity that you kind of need. It's like a bit more like visceral. I don't know if that is the right word. I'm real stupid with the English language, but like I feel as if it's a bit more like, I guess, interactive than, let's say, you just having like the controller on hand. Like even just imagining like what a fucking VR fighter game would be like was actually kind of insane. Like I don't know, like I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like an old man. Like it's just like we're like in such a crazy new age in a way, or like
say that borderline, you know, Spotify is even for podcasters now. I mean, like,
yeah,
the Anchor, which was the distributor for this show, is now called Spotify for Podcasters because Spotify bought it and rebranded it basically because it was just the best way to like distribute a podcast easily. So we use that to distribute this show to all the listening platforms and whatnot, where you can listen to the occasional times where we, you know, talk about like internet drama or whatever, which sad that those are some of the most like listened to ones as well, but is also good at the same time. That's like the most listened to episode on like Spotify platforms and like audio platforms, by the way. The one where we talked about that kid that tried to cancel Danny Sexbang.
Oh, okay.
That episode has specifically like 169 listens. And after that would be the one where we talked about Puss in Boots. So it's all, we gotta work on finding our niche. You and I gotta have some meetings.
I think our niche is that like we have none. TBH. Like
no, that's not a niche. Every
only because like a lot of times, and I've even noticed this, like even the episodes we just talk about nothing, they've done pretty well too. It's just like literally just a dice roll at that point, I'm saying.
Maybe not. I don't know. So something to discuss later. I mean, but do you think that like borderline interactivity for like Baldur's Gate, is that worth the price increase?
Baldur's Gate was 60.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I knew it was something that was on your mind, you know, as far as like certain games being like $69.99 now. You know.
Well, like,
and if I was a lesser man, like all I would care about is the fact that now video games cost the funny number. But that's not worth the extra 10 for a lot of the video games, in my mistake. I mean there's some pretty fair criticisms of Tears of the Kingdom that people are calling it an asset flip, which in essence it kind of is. If we're really keeping it a stack. So I think that alone is not worth a fucking $10 price increase if I'm keeping it a buck with you.
Not to mention that we also know that we're going to be paying...
Or $10 with you, my bad. Like,
and also the fact that we know we're going to be paying extra money for the DLC, if they're good. But like, you know, for a lot of people who like, you know, at least bought Breath of the Wild, they bought the DLC just cause. And I mean, like, they'd added like a good amount of content, but it wasn't like, for the most part, whenever... Like, I even talked to anyone about Breath of the Wild, they played it because they wanted to just play the story. Or at the very least, like, a lot of people just kind of got lost in the sauce and, like, just were playing it. And, like, they were so... It became, like... Well, they became so aimless in it, and that, like, there was just so much shit to do that, like, they just almost forgot about the main story and just went around, like, killing shit and discovering new things. Which, you know, that's kind of the par for the course for at least, like, open world games, especially if, like, there's things to do in it. Is not like, because like, you know, comparing, let's say, Breath of the Wild to something like Assassin's Creed Origins or Odyssey, like just real Ubisoft-y, like, you know, no, y'all know what I'm talking about, like real Ubisoft kind of like really bland open worlds that like, yeah, there is a lot in there, but there's really not a lot in it. If like, there's not a lot of substance, if you know what I mean. And like, I haven't even finished Tears of the Kingdom yet, and like, I even like just off of some of the YouTube videos that I've watched about it, I was convinced at first that some of the videos that I watched, like, because some of them took place within like Hyrule and not like up in the sky. So, like, whenever I saw that, I was just like, whoa, what's this new Breath of the Wild footage? Like, I thought I was looking at Breath of the Wild footage until, like, I looked up from the title and saw, oh, no, it's Tears of the Kingdom. And then they actually, like, do the whole crazy, like, build your vehicle type stuff and, like, just all the crazy shit that people did.
Penises in the sky and all this stuff. And
penis helicopter, just, like, spinning around, like, thing as you're, like, going through the land.
Look, I will say, I think it's good game design when a game is open world like that, and it's so open world to the point where, like, you accidentally do the quote-unquote right thing by playing the game in the free-roaming way that you want. That is something that I very much commend Sonic Frontiers for. Because Sonic Frontiers, like, I was going for 100%. I've been thinking about that game a lot lately. I gotta finish it. I'm pretty close, actually. That game is so good for a first attempt at an open world Sonic the Hedgehog, because it nails the sense of, like, oh, it's open world, go around, do whatever you want first, you can play the game as linear or as out of order as you absolutely want to, and the game makes you want to do things out of your own free will, rather than telling you this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, oh, I did something that I wanted, and I was supposed to do that? It's like the game makes you do the right thing, but by making you feel like you did it,
it actually
completely out of your own volition.
Tangibly rewards you. Like,
yeah, that is amazing game design. Where it's like, oh, I was supposed to do this thing in the long run, but I didn't realize I was supposed to do it. But I did it out of my own free will, and then it turns out that's what I was supposed to do. Like, it completely leaves that reign to the player in that way. And I will say that any good open world game should be able to do the same thing, which is why I actually low-key kind of like games like Sonic Frontiers as far as open world goes. Slightly more than some of, like, the modern, like, open world games that Nintendo does. Because I played Mario Odyssey and I adore that game, but there are some critiques that the game has too much, like too many moons and stuff, and it can also be a little too linear, that you only need a certain amount of moons to beat the level. There's also too many, so it's too easy to get too many moons are the ones you need, and it's only for the people who really want 100% it that will do it. But Sonic Frontiers, even, like, going for 100%, made me feel like I was just fucking around doing whatever I wanted, but I was still somehow making progress, but the game wasn't telling me, like, this is the way you're supposed to do it. It's like, the way you're supposed to do it is to do whatever the fuck you want, and by doing whatever the fuck you want, you're somehow progressing at the same time. It's so rare that an open world game does both. It's either like it tells you what the fuck to do, and you go do it, or it's just complete open world sandbox, no linear whatsoever, and then eventually you just get bored because, like, you feel like, what's the point? What am I supposed to do? And games like Frontiers, and to an extent, like, open world games like, you know, like Zelda and whatnot, probably even better, they do that flawlessly. Which is something I very much commend in any open world game, even though I don't play too many of those. I've never played, like, Skyrim or any of those stuff. Those games are, like, too massive, even for me.
Yeah, like, and also, like, you know, just even going back then, like, Skyrim, I think, not really, like, a video game historian over here, but, like, I like to think at least Skyrim kind of set the benchmark for basically how open world games at least should be made, and, like, just kind of like what's expected, right? And at least in Skyrim's case, it's like, you know, usually a lot of first timers, like, when they picked it up, like, it was always like, okay, gonna do the adventure, right? They're just gonna do the mainline quests and, like, just kind of, like, follow the story and, like, you know, get to the end, like, see how it is, right? And one thing I've always heard from even people who played Skyrim is that, like, they had a lot more fun, just kind of, like, just doing whatever the fuck they wanted. Like, it's like, fuck the main quest. I'm going to that mountain up there and seeing what's up there. And, like, just kind of, like, you know, having, like, that adventure sort of, like, vibe with it. I mean, like, not saying that, okay, yeah, like, playing the main quest is not also being an adventure, but, like, it's just that whole, I can do whatever I want, and I'm gonna do it. And, like, if the mainline quest is, like, it is there, but I could do it whenever I want.
Yep.
Let me go to that mountain over there and see what's up there. Let me go to that cave and see what's up there.
But I think the better open world games are the ones that do a wonderful job at meaningful progression. By making it, in order to progress, you do things that you think are optional, instead of the game making it clear, this is optional, this is not. Because I think that's just kind of lazy, because they're just trying to cater to both players right there and being like, hey, you're a linear player, you just want to play the main game, go forth. You want to explore, do open world, here you go. See, our game is great, we did both, and we told you could do both. I think the better open world games are the ones that blur the lines, if that makes any sense.
No,
Dennis.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Things that make you think are optional that turn out to be how you're supposed to move forward, because that makes the player feel like they were the ones truly responsible for making the next thing in the game happen, rather than making them feel like they're playing the game the way the developers want them to, which is beautiful because, ironically, by doing that, they are playing the game the way the developers want them to, right? Isn't that crazy?
Just to add to that, right? Because open world games fall into this trap where they think, like, look at all this stuff you can do. And a lot of it is pointless. A lot of it is just like, oh, look at this shitty fetch quest that you have to do. Oh, look at this escort mission you have to do. And they all follow the same, like, Assassin's Creed fucking formula of, like, a lot of padding, you know? And, like, a lot, I'm not saying that, like, you know, like, open world games are they're really hard to get right because I looked at around the time when like Horizon Zero Dawn was coming out, right? I took a look at it and I was like, all right, it looks cool. Was not interested at all of ever playing it.
Is that the one with the redhead girl?
Yeah. The one who looks like I heard the one that looked like Bridget from Overwatch.
No, I actually heard that game sucked because I saw gameplay of it and the character always just doesn't shut the fuck up when telling you like what you're No. When telling you what you're supposed to do. Like you'll see a gap and she'll be like, "Oh, I bet I can jump over
It's like
that."
a Navi but not a Navi.
Yeah.
It's always like kind of just, "Hey, that thing over there. Hey," like even but it's like I know like everyone always shits on Navi too, but it's like, you know, a lot of times, and like, I guess this might just be like a strictly like kind of like a gaming sort of episode today, but like, I guess some of our opinions here, because like, I don't know, like a lot of stuff that was considered formulaic from back then, like at least especially for open worlds, like, you know, you have the mainline quest, that's the main thing for the story, you do that, right? And then I'll have all these other side quests that you do that like, you know, if you do like certain ones and like if you follow the certain quest chain, it's like you can get some broken shit that'll make the rest of the game, or even just like up towards like the final boss, is completely irrelevant. And like, I love broken shit. I don't know what it is. I've always like loved like weapons that like could one shot motherfuckers like nothing. I've always just loved that crap for some reason. I don't know what it is. And like, I'm like also like, even coming from like a Yu-Gi-Oh player who has like, our games prone to having tons of broken shit every set almost, and like I just love playing with broken shit. I don't know what it is. Like I love to just like watch it go brrr, like thing, you know, and like just completely like just completely deck my opponent in the face. And like it's also like, you know, sometimes when it's used against me, you know, it's, I don't really feel like, I don't know, it's like people always feel bad when it happens to them, but like when it happens to me, I don't feel that bad because it's like I also use it. So it's like, you know, I get it, because like obviously we're gonna play this to win. But now going back to games real quick, it's like, you know, like for a lot of like open worlds, they all follow the same formula for the most part. So you have the mainline quest and then all these other extra stuff you can do, and like it's supposed to kind of like help make the world feel alive, if that means anything.
More immersive.
And more immersive, yeah, because it's like a lot of times, like, and one thing that I always kind of maybe I did see it a lot more often than I'm thinking, but like one thing I loved is like, you know how back in the day like choices were such a big fucking thing, like the choices you make in the game is gonna affect the outcome of like the ending or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like how back in the day, like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, I don't know if you played it, but like at least in that game, it was one of the few, and it was the reason. This is the reason why that was mostly celebrated, was because like it was literally like making your own Star Wars adventure, and it's like if you wanted to be like a Sith Lord by the end, you could be, and you could just like unleash your power fantasy from like when you were 8 years old and just electrocute motherfuckers for fun, and like, you know. It was like it was so celebrated because it was one of those like RPGs. It wasn't open world by any means, but like it was one of those RPGs that basically like almost set the benchmark for everything else. And like BioWare's kind of did like, this was a BioWare game. Like they kind of did follow up with it a few times. With their other games, like calling on the success, I mean, not like actually like on KOTOR, like, which was the abbreviation for the game, like Dragon Age and like a few others like that have come around. If anyone's ever anyone out there in the audience, if you played it, like, you know what I mean, like, and BioWare's kind of just been going down the tubes lately because like they don't really seem to give a fuck about story no more, which is kind of a shame because it's one of those cases where like they forgot where they came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you forgot like what made you so successful in the beginning. And I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, like times don't change, right? And it's true. Like for a lot of companies nowadays, they're not the same ones that we knew them as children, especially a few others called Activision Blizzard. And just like I'm not like maybe I made a little lozenge, but like you know, you're coughing really hard over there. We understand that, right? But it's just also again so sad that like even for Ubisoft too, like we used to love Ubisoft. Now we cannot fucking stand them, and we wish they would burn and die, honestly. Mm-hmm. The fact that they didn't even fix Uno yet. Fucking Uno! That's still broken! I can't believe it! It's still fucking broken!
Everyone has Smash, David. It came free with your fucking Switch.
But we can play Uno. Oh no, we could. If it wasn't broken. It's fucking broken everywhere.
You have Uno, you fucking dick.
No, I mean like if we wanted to play online, like just
you have Uno.
But
I love that meme.
I guess also like my point is that like you know I think we live in a very like I think we definitely been spoiled, especially if you were coming up from like the like sort of GameCube era and just sort of saw like the crazy like I guess innovation and improvement like over the years. If you've lived around that time and you're now like 29 or 30 and you're seeing like all this firsthand, it's honestly pretty fucking insane. Like, you know, the like graphics really are just kind of getting like better and better. And it was insane to think that like at one point when Final Fantasy VII, the original came out, people could not fucking believe that like, oh my god, like, you know, just seeing like a polygon-y ass fucking avatar as Cloud was like was the fucking cutting edge for that time. That shit is insane to me.
No
like,
disrespect, but like I can't even look at Final Fantasy VII.
No, I don't think anyone can, honestly.
It's
that remake
gross. And like the most hardcore fans tell me to play the original first. Yeah. Before the remake.
But that was also because that was their bias. They grew up with it. That's the big thing that a lot of people forget.
And it also has the full story, I guess.
Yeah,
you know, among other things. But like,
it also
like,
sucks because like, we got the story split up for us, you know?
It's like a weird liminal space without the liminality. It's like you're walking on like some sort of like weird 2D plane as like some polygon.
It's a JPEG that you're running
straight up. Yeah, it's like, you know, you get like a JPEG of a pizza and like you're just running around on top of it. It's what that shit looks like. You know, like that was peak game design.
Which, you know, I'm not going to take nothing away because I think, you know, just thinking of where like kind of games were like back then, and also not to mention it literally, I think, solidified the first PlayStation as like a fucking decent ass console during that time. Again, I'm not no historian when it comes to that, but it's like that, like it was just one of those hallmark moments. And then fucking Super Mario 64 came around, and it like that also just pushed like the boundaries of like how much can we like see like where this engine can go, basically. And like Super Mario 64 is still like lauded by fucking everybody, and it's the very fact, you know what's so funny, like, you know, the collection, right? So if anyone you know, David knows, but like if anyone doesn't know, like there was a Super Mario 60, like not 64, but like a Super Mario collection that came out a couple years back where it had the 3 mainline games for I think Super Mario 64, Sunshine, which was for the GameCube, and then was it 2 of the Galaxies that they gave?
Only the first one.
Only the first one. So 3 of probably arguably one of the most like some of the most successful Mario games out there. And for Super Mario 64, right? A lot of people I've read on certain forums that like they were hoping that like, oh, like I hope they give it like just a little bit of an update, just a little bit, like Super Mario 64, right? But when it came out and they basically told them that no, this is just gonna be like upscaled to fit a 1080p screen because like this fucking thing was made before 1080p was even like a dream for that matter.
Right.
And like, you know, that was just the most that they were gonna do with it. Like everyone just kind of said like it was almost a collective like sigh of relief that they didn't just go ham with like improving it, because it's also just like, yeah, it does, like Super Mario 64, obviously, like compared to nowadays and even just current Mario games, of course it looks dated. Like, I'm almost kind of glad too that like they didn't go that route and decided to make like a remaster or something, only because like this game, like just the game itself and what it represented around that time is almost just too like, it's too good to even touch, in my opinion. And like just the significance of the game as well, like when it came out and like how celebrated it was, like when it was released. Like,
I mean, dude, we talked about Mario 64 last week, man. I think it's literally one of the most important video games ever made, and like the impact it had on my young mind. Like, I really, to this day, even as a 27-year-old man, cannot put into feasible, tangible words how much that game blew my mind as a child. Like, I stared at it and just got lost in some fucking weird realm of like open world and liminality at the same time, and just like the bright colors just blew me away. Like, this can happen. The human imagination can do this.
It could make something like this. This is beyond science.
Game's been analogous to just like having roads to everywhere. So, and beyond the fact of like also not touching, you know, its sacredness, which Nintendo already did with the 2005 DS port, which is, it's still a good game, not as good as the original. I like it.
But it was just, I really think that game was just more so to fill up, like, we need something for the DS, because, like, when it first came out...
Well, they
like,
wanted to show what their new handheld could do. Like, hey, it's not just about, like, 2D pixelated sprites or whatever.
Like
our new handheld could have fucking 3D open world games on it. Isn't that crazy?
It was supposed to be like a release title. That's what they all are.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's just supposed to like on release show off like, oh, like look what it can do. Right?
Yeah.
And like obviously for the Switch when it came out, we got Breath of the Wild. I mean, it already had come out for the Wii U, but no one really gave a fuck about it. And like it was so weird because even though it did come out for the Wii U, everyone who ever reviewed it was always saying I played it on the Switch. And there would be like the two people out there who played it on the Wii U.
I mean, they pushed it there anyway because the Wii U was failing. There was like, we're not going to work this hard on this game and release it on this dead
already
piece of
had
shit.
like, yeah, they already also had like a preset date of when like basically it was going to be end of life. So it's like, okay, like, well, whatever, fuck it. Like, it's basically using the same hardware anyways. Like, so like, you know, just make a downsized sort of port and just throw it on there. Who cares? And like, you know, it's the reason why too that like, this is also one thing that like I just thought about and it hasn't bothered me until recently is like the exclusivity that like certain companies just love to have with their shit. Not that saying that like, oh, if you're like PlayStation and like you have your PlayStation exclusives like you know, God of War, especially like the second one specifically, because like that has not come out yet for us PC guys. Like probably won't until a while, really. But like a bunch of like some of the other Souls games, but a lot of those Souls games are now like on PC. They've been on PC, just minus that one. Bloodborne. Bloodborne hasn't come out yet. Onto PC. Like we've been hearing rumors like fucking for years now that like, oh, it's coming to PC. It's coming to PC. Like a bunch of Souls fanboys like think they love the game and like they just want it on PC so badly, and it's just like we've been hearing rumors but it just hasn't happened yet. And like now just kind of going on to Nintendo's case where they really like respect their history but also at the same time they don't, if that makes sense. Not so much that like, okay, they shit on it, but more so like, don't you want, like, I know like they want to only be pushing their new shit, right? All the time. Of course, like we want the new stuff to get the sales, not really anything else. Like at least when it came to like the whole Nintendo 64 online, right? For the Switch Online. Like, and what was it? Like the games that we're playing on that aren't even like actually like games we download. It's more so like just kind of being streamed to us. Cloud,
games.
yeah. So
which is a shitty practice because it means they can just take it away from you at any single time. Yeah. Another example of like, you know, owning nothing in the future and being happy about it.
And like, you know, a lot of those games, like I think Nintendo really maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm pretty sure like to a certain extent like they understand their fans and they understand like the sort of age range that they're in. So let's say for yours and my example, right, David? We're like in our like later 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we grew up with like Nintendo 64, even Super Nintendo, right? Like we were there from like not the very beginning, but like we were there from when Nintendo was just slowly becoming like the fucking colossus that it is now. And you know, we have like just a very like big piece of our like there's a big piece of our heart where like we just love those old games that we played. And going to like at least Nintendo 64 and GameCube, right? There's a whole library of stuff, at least from the GameCube era, that like I would love to have again, but I can't because for one, some of the games that I want to buy, at least going off of the secondhand market, they're fucking insanely expensive. They're like straight up like way more than anything that you could possibly buy nowadays.
I lost my copy of Double Dash somewhere along the lines as a kid, and I don't think I'm ever going to own a tangible copy of that game ever again.
Double Dash, Thousand Year Door. Arguably one of my favorite RPGs of all fucking time, and I never got to finish it. David's about to fucking whip it out and just do some great flexing over here, because this game, I loved it as a fucking kid. It was so fucking good, and I wish I could own another copy, but honestly, it's just not on the fucking tables because it's so goddamn expensive. Yeah. That shit's mint, right? Oh, he licked it. Now the value just went down. And
no, this is the one I had when I was a kid. It's used. It's fucking mint.
Okay, okay. I thought it was like mint in box, like never opened. I bought it like at a convention.
It's a bestseller.
I mean, it is. It was a bestseller. It was fucking awesome. I love that game. And
I think about this game like every day.
Like, I don't know. Like, I bet you like for a couple years in the future, Nintendo's probably gonna do like a GameCube online. It's bound to happen. It's just bound to happen. And like, you know, for like, and I just hate the fact that I'll like, not that I'm saying like, okay, like what are you poor or some shit? You can't pay like, what was it, $50 a month or some shit, right?
For the expansion pack, yeah.
Oh, the expansion pack, yeah.
For one person. Unless you're on a family plan with like a bunch of other people, in which case I pay like $10 a year for it.
Okay. So like either way, it's like, okay, you're not gonna pay like a little fee to play those games? I thought you were a true fan. I am a true fan. But the thing is that I hate the fact that I don't know, this argument's starting to like it might crumble from what I'm about to say next, but like it's just like
I haven't had the chance to argue against it yet, so
it's just that like I wish though like that was not the route they went. You know what I mean? Because I'ma still download like ROMs and ISOs to play these games. I don't give a shit. I will do it because like for one, you're not making any other avenue for me to go to. Because also again, like you said with at least the Nintendo 64 Online, I don't own anything. You can play it, but you don't own it. And it's like, it goes back to the whole thing with even streaming services where it's like, okay, you have this service, right? It's not really yours. It's ours. We're just giving it to you for this fee. That's the transaction. It's the same way even with the Nintendo Switch Online.
Maybe they feel like they can't do it the old way because then customers are going to spend their money on the old games and therefore not have enough of their like video game or luxury budget that they have in their day-to-day lives for the new shit that Nintendo actually wants to sell at higher prices. So that's why they stick with the subscription service model to sell it as like a discount deal, which, again, it's cloud storage games and it's also selective Nintendo titles. It's not like you can subscribe to it and pick from the whole N64 library, like, okay, you subscribed for...
Yeah. Oh, I want Bomberman 64. It's like, oh, actually, we don't have... Yeah, like, we don't have Bomberman 64. Sorry.
That would be really interesting if, like, they released the whole library on there, but then different tiers that you pay for to download... Not cloud game, download a certain amount of them. Yeah. Say you want to download like 50, oh, you pay for this much rate of the service. But then I don't think Nintendo wants to do a flat fee there. But at the same time, that could solve their problem of like budgeting for like customers. Because I do believe Nintendo does these things because they think there are customers that will only buy their old shit like for nostalgia purposes and either not have enough money for their new stuff or not even care about some of their new stuff that they release later on down the line. It's part of the reason that they, like, fucking, you know, suppressed Melee so much at, like, trade shows and shit like that, because they don't want people to like that game more than the new Smash Brothers, because then they might not buy the new Smash Brothers.
But the thing is that, like, you know, you are a company that, like, at least, here's the thing, like, I know Disney has plenty of problems, right? but Disney loves their old shit so much they revive it from the dead, Frankenstein style, and say we're gonna do a live action because it was just so good the first time. We just gotta do it again.
Also,
but now with real people.
It's also easier and like cheap and like safe. And
I know. But that's the thing, like, we all give Disney shit for this, but it's like, at the very least, like, they do have a big respect for their old shit. I know it's misplaced, it's not really, like, the most pure thing ever, but, like, at the very least, it's like, you know, because, like, every time, like, Disney does, like, a 25th anniversary, 15th anniversary, 20th anniversary, like, they always bring out, like, the old shit first. They always show it off and say, like, this was our origins. And this is where we are now. They've done it all the time. And it's like never gonna stop either. And like, for Nintendo's case, it's like, they do celebrate it, but it's like, why don't you want to give this to a lot of other people who are just coming in? Like, not everyone could just go to their fucking, like, retro game store and just pick up a GameCube. I mean, they could, really. Like, I mean, a lot of GameCubes, from what I've seen, they're not really the most expensive fucking thing out there. But, like, you know, the very fact that, I have to, like, go and find and buy this new retro console to play all these great games. Because here's the thing, GameCube games still fucking hold up. They hold up a lot better than Wii games, personally. And, like, you know, just because at least, like, coming off of the GameCube, we had a lot more bangers there than the Wii. That's not even a contest. Like Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion, Sunshine, Melee, Wind Waker, before they decided to like baby it. Although to be fair, the changes in the HD remake really did help because the last part of Wind Waker was so fucking tedious. If any of you understand what I'm talking about, it was the most tedious fucking thing ever before we fought Ganon. It really was. And like, even Star Fox, the last, I forgot the name, Star Fox Assault. Arguably the last great fucking Star Fox, because there just hasn't been any since. And like, we got that one for 3DS, but no one really gave a fuck about it.
Let's be real. Wario World, that was another one. Double Dash, which I think that game's overrated as fucking shit, by the way. But
Diddy Kong Racing's still
game.
Better than Double Dash. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Diddy Kong Racing deserves an HD remake.
Not to mention fucking Mario Party in its prime. Yeah. As well, like all the prime Mario parties as well. Those fucking games. Let me just hold. Everybody, fucking relax. Hang on a second. Let me just.
Oh.
Kirby Air Ride.
Kirby Air Ride.
That was another one I forgot to mention. That was another one. Ridiculous.
Which funny that was good. Fucking DK bongos. It wasn't really, like, that revolutionary, but, like, you know, we had, like, some really great... It was so weird. That was, like, the era where, you know, like, looking back at it, it really was, like, kind of a bit of a gimmicky era after, like, all the bangers kind of came and went. Then they went on to, like, making Super Mario Dance Dance Revolution, fucking DK bongos, like... Yeah. It was just, like, really, like... You know what I mean? Like... Looking back at it, I think it really was just kind of it became a bit of a testing ground after a while for them. And like, you know, and then now fast forward, like those games were like literally 20 years ago now at this point. Like, and I like would love to show my kid like Star Fox Assault, even fucking Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, like, cause just to share that, you know? And
I truthfully do not know why they haven't done it yet. If I'm keeping it a stack with you.
They could have literally done like a remake or like a double pack of like the original and plus the fucking 1000 Year Door. Like they could do it whenever, really. Like, I mean, not that I'm saying like, oh, an HD remake can take like 2 seconds, right? But I'm also just saying like, you know, like you want money, right? You want money. I will pay you for 2 copies personally for that. Really, I would.
I don't know, man. It's difficult to understand Nintendo. You know, them being as archaic as they are is both very good and very bad, but it's always very cryptic on top of that. Like, the theory is that, like, oh, like, they don't want you playing their old shit because they want you to, you know, buy their new shit. And if you, like, spend your money on the old shit, they're not gonna do the new shit, blah, 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 blah. But, if anything, if Nintendo is really going down that route, I'm optimistic that their new shit could really be amazing.
Oh, no, yeah, of course. Pikmin 4 just proved that.
Well, no, it's not even that. Like, Nintendo has always been a generation behind.
Oh,
Always.
no, yeah.
And that is...
Even in terms of hardware.
That's what I mean. That's
what you
meant
meant specifically.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like just the company as a whole.
Well, I mean, I can't really speak on that, but Nintendo has always been a generation behind, and they always will be. I'm convinced at this point. They're never gonna have a console that is literally on par with whatever the fuck, Sony and Microsoft are cranking out with, like, the PS fucking 17 and the Xbox Series Elon, whatever. The reason I think that they have a very unique opportunity here for the near future is because let's just keep it a solid stack $150 for a second. The jump from the PS4 to the PS5 was not that big. Let's just be real for a second. It wasn't that big. And even though I saw, like the decrepit, like bottom barrel of society that the Joker was talking about in The Dark Knight when I was doing the Nintendo program in 2020, when every motherfucker in their dick and balls was walking up behind me saying, "Hey, boss, PS5, boss." Because everybody needs a new console, even though, again, no disrespect to those consoles, graphically, hardware-wise, power-wise, not the biggest upgrade from PS4 to PS5. You were talking about the GameCube era, and what is one of the reasons that the GameCube era was so nostalgic to the point where Dennis talked about it for 20 straight minutes and didn't let me get a single word in? Well, I'll tell you. It's because before that, all we had were fucking triangles. We had polygons. And the GameCube was the first console where Mario actually looked in-game like how he did on the fucking box.
Yep. That
was huge. That jump. It's part of the reason that, people still say Melee is one of the best Smash games. I mean, the real reason is because, like, mechanically it's an incredible fighting game, like, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it.
Shit's historical, too. Really?
Yeah, the jump, seeing what Mario's Melee render to this day is still one of my favorite renders of the character, literally fucking ever. It tickles the nostalgia funny 69 part of my brain so well, right here in the back of my fucking cerebral. It's like right next to the spot that makes me horny, so I get confused sometimes. It's perfect. Biggest jump ever. It's why people are so nostalgic for the GameCube era, even though the GameCube fucking got bodied in that generation.
Yeah.
It was the worst selling console of the big three. But this jump from the PS4 to the PS5, from the Xbox One to the Series X, which is literally not an upgrade at all because all their games work on the Xbox One as well as the Series X.
They just wanted something to sell.
Literally they just needed a console for the next newer generation, wars. And it was nothing. You are a cuck if you bought an Xbox this generation. I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot.
But if you didn't have an Xbox and you bought one because you wanted one, and if you bought the Series X, I got nothing to say to you.
Yeah, but if you upgraded from a 1 to the Series X,
it's like if you're one of those,
what, Game Pass? Just get a fucking PC. Jesus Christ. But reason I'm bringing all this up, Dennis, is because Nintendo has a very unique opportunity here because of how minor of a jump it was. Nintendo could still be a generation behind, which they always are, but still have a console that's powerful graphically and power hardware-wise enough to the point where it can still contest with the modern consoles, because it'll have the power of the PS4 and the Xbox One, which is not a rumor, by the way. That was confirmed in a press release, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Gamescom last week?
Before Gamescom, I think there was some pretty prominent. It was either, I don't know if it was leaks or if it was confirmed.
It could be leaks. Nintendo's prone to leaks.
Yeah, but either way, it was like pretty much leaked into the grapevine that Nintendo's next console is going to be on par with the power of the PS4 and Xbox One. So a generation behind again, not surprising.
But the thing, it's not really.
It's
not really a generation behind either.
That's what I'm fucking saying. Yeah. It was such a minor jump, Dennis, to the point where it's not going to matter. So on an actual modern console, for once, Nintendo could have their exclusives on? Oh, but David, what about the Switch? The Switch was released with an outdated NVIDIA chip at its launch. It was outdated back in 2017.
Still was gangbusters, though.
And the reason it was outdated in 2017 is because the Wii U was such a gigantic failure, Nintendo didn't want to sink too much money buying the latest NVIDIA cards.
So they cut corners. Okay.
They cut corners. And thank God for Nintendo, the Switch sold gangbusters, and they didn't have to worry about selling 2 dead consoles in a row, which they've never done in their history. So, Nintendo, if they want to be like, the hype modern market that they are, and really still don't give a shit about game preservation and not care about their old stuff as much, or at least like the selective way that they do with the cloud storage and the Nintendo Online package, they could actually like have their modern video games be on an actual like high-powered modern console for once. They've never done that. Even in the fucking N64 era. Because guess what came out that era? That bodied the N64.
Yeah.
The fucking PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Which a lot of games looked way better on the PS1. Despite us shitting on Final Fantasy VII earlier, like talking about running on JPEGs and stuff, which was done way better in Mario 64, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that is true. The whole board was a JPEG. Forgot that.
I think 3D was done so much better in Mario 64 than a lot of Nintendo's other games on that console. I think it looks better than Ocarina. It does. Like, I'm sorry, but it fucking does. Like,
some Ocarina fanboy out there is like literally screaming and slamming his hand on the keyboard. It's like, how can you insult the Ocarina of Time this way?
If we have learned anything from Brenofloss, it's to
Sound
not.
Like I was having a stroke there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you feeling all right?
That was basically an Ocarina fanboys.
Like, if we have learned anything from Brenofloss, it's to not diss Ocarina on the internet. But if we have also learned anything from Brenofloss, it's that we don't give a fuck.
Well, also, if we've learned anything from Egoraptor and basically ripping apart fucking...
Oh, I forgot. He shat on that game.
And also just completely ripping apart a sacred game of history for 38 minutes straight and just basically saying that he hates being his handheld. Just know what the internet's gonna do. And I don't know, it was so funny because like I remember that video and I almost remember it fondly because I did agree with a lot of things he said, but then I read the comments and like it was just a bunch of fanboys just all shitting on him collectively about his
defense. If Brenofloss's main argument to Ocarina being bad is that graphically it was not very good looking and it came out 2 years after Mario 64. And in their defense, if that is his only argument for why Ocarina sucks, then that is not really a very good argument at all.
I think
Egoraptor, on the other hand, had some valid complaints.
He went into mechanics.
He was talking about like there's no 2D plane, so you could be running and the camera is fixated when you get into a certain dungeon in Ocarina, where there'll be a trap behind you and you can't fucking see it, and then it just slips up behind you, and it's like, oops! Granted, he also hated Mario 64.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They did a let's play of it. They did a let's play of it, and because
it was not a fun one, or at least he just did not like it.
No, he literally called it Mario 64. Like he hated it. Which my young mind at the time couldn't comprehend, and probably contributed to me not even watching Game Grumps no more.
That was like your last Game Grumps episode.
What really led me to stop watching them was when they got stuck in Luigi's Mansion and literally stopped the Let's Play because they couldn't proceed. And I'm like, bro, the game literally fucking tells you where to go.
Not to mention...
It literally... Dennis, no, shut up for a second. It literally tells you where the fuck to go.
On top of that, they also have been prone to using walkthroughs. So why not just use a walkthrough?
Which for Let's Plays, that's completely fine. Who cares? Yeah, they're trying to make people laugh.
They did it for all the Zeldas. They did it for all the Sonics they played. Like, they did it for every single big game that they finished. So it's like, just fucking use the walkthrough. What the fuck you doing?
Well, either way, I think Nintendo has a unique opportunity in the future. And if they have more than the resources or anything else to, like, really, like, put a little more effort into game preservation, but... I guess to conclude here, like, well, first of all, what do you think about, like, Nintendo potentially being able to actually, like, have their games on, like, good modern hardware? And then after that, what do you think they could do to actually fix the online, like, classic game situation in a way that benefits everybody?
I think, well, them coming actually now to, like, to the Octagon, well, I don't know, they're not really in the Octagon yet, because, like, they're still, like... They went from being out on the bleachers, like out in the stands, to actually being like where the ring is, but not inside it. And they're still just kind of chilling there with popcorn and just like looking at these two dumbasses fight and just slug each other to death.
I feel like they're the ones who like tossed like like the fucking Monopoly money in between them and just watch them fight to the death. Actually, either that... Actually, no. Nintendo's just the one on the bleachers watching.
Nintendo is the guy who bet money... Yeah, Nintendo's the guy who bet money on the cockfight, and is just kind of like, he didn't really care about the money. It's just like he had the bet to see the fight, but like now he's just like enjoying the show at this point because it's like you said, and even in the case of like Sony and Xbox specifically, like, you know, they for the most part like they're playing catch up because like all the hardware that PCs get. They get like not the breadcrumbs, so to say, but like more so like they get a more toned down version of the top end shit that we get because you can't really fit, let's say, a 4090's fucking level of power in a fucking small box and sell it for a decent amount of money because, for one, you're trying to make this shit affordable because you don't want to make a console, at least MSRP wise, that's not obtainable. That's the reason why, like, at least, it's the reason why that I'll say that, like, PC guys really just are like that, what do you call it, that one meme where it's, like, SpongeBob with the really stupid face and he has his hand going into his wallet. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll pay for that.
Oh,
like, you know,
yeah.
It's like that, yeah. Like, that's how we are. Because, like, we just want, like, the most, like, not really all the time, but, like, at least for people who have money to drop, they want the most top-end fucking thing. They want the 4090, so they'll drop, like, money hand over fist for that 4090.
Yep.
And for at least a lot of console guys, like, you know, it's like, and not that I'm saying, okay, yeah, PC master race and all that, but like PC gaming is a level above console gaming only simply because of the fact that like we have shit that literally makes our games make yours look like dog crap. It's just how it is. And like all your hardware that you use is shit that basically we use in our own box. And like, you know, it just, again, like, at least for a lot of console guys, like, you know, like, I'm not saying that, okay, your games don't look great on it, no one's saying that, but, like, at least, you know, when it comes to your guys' old console wars, we were never a part of that shit because we were always just kind of laughing at it. And, like, you know, now Nintendo coming into at least the dinner table and kind of just being like, I'm you. Not better, but like I am you, if that makes sense. It's like the shit that I'm running in my stuff is basically the same shit that you've been running in your stuff. And even though, again, PlayStation and Xbox love to advertise that, like, oh, it's like next gen. That's always like the big fucking word, right? Next gen. Like it's always like next gen graphics, next gen this.
Just the gamer cash word.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That gets.
That's why, like,
the people who don't know the difference between any of these things to buy it.
No substance in any of those words now, at least. Just because, like, again, like David said, the jump from the series, whatever the fuck, to series now to like from PS4 to PS5 is not really that big of a jump. Really, it's really not. And like, people,
so maybe Nintendo can play catch up. Like that's my whole argument.
Yeah, and like, you know, now like, okay, when the day comes that they're gonna be like at that dinner table, a bit further down the table, but they're gonna still be there. Like, I think at the very least, like, you know, I mean, they always took Nintendo seriously. I feel it's just kind of like we didn't really have to worry about them, Sony and Microsoft. We didn't really have to worry about them because like they were always just kind of doing their own thing, and like, you know. And now going into like at least the whole subscriber, like the cloud gaming and like kind of just where they can go with that later on. Like I think the Switch Online plus like the expansion pack for the Nintendo 64 games on the cloud gaming, I really think it's testing grounds for them. Because it's really, I don't know, like again, like maybe someone's probably already made a better video about like all this shit, like maybe Arlo or whoever, but like, you know, from an outsider coming in, like, I truly feel that, like, it really is, like, kind of bit of a testing ground for them to see, like, okay, like, if they really like this, right? If we have plenty of people that are subscribed and are playing, let's say, the N64, because you know they're collecting them analytics. It's not, like, don't pretend that they're not. You know they are.
Right.
And, like, you know, it's all background data for them anyways. And, like, you know, they're seeing like, okay, is this going to be profitable in the long term? Because let's say if it is, then okay, now they'll go forward and expand on it. And then, okay, maybe we will get like some GameCube stuff maybe further down the line. I don't really think too, like they're not going to put every single N64 game in their library into that fucking service. It's just not going to happen. And like for the ones that they have, you know, I guess David said too, it's like it's very selective as to like the stuff that they put in.
They released like 20 N64 games for the fucking
Pokemon Stadium being like the most,
and
Pokemon Stadium being like the most recent one too, which like, and also Wii,
that's what I'm talking about. The Wii Virtual Console, they only released 20.
Yeah, and like I kind of miss the Wii. Like Virtual Console. I can't even, like, there's no point in even buying one. And they're like, oh yeah, let me go to the Wii shop and pick up some, virtual games. It makes no fucking sense. And, like, it just really, like, sucks, too, because,
you also can't, because they shut that shit down.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like, they shut it down. Like, they basically said, like, oh, fuck you. You can't buy this no more. You have until this point in time to buy all your shit before we close it down. And it was the same way for the 3DS. And, like...
And the Wii U,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for them, end of life is end of life. When it comes to when it comes to, like, a product cycle, end of life, like, is supposed to just mean, like, that's it. No more support, period. That's it. But, like, you know, I've seen some people where, like, okay, yeah, shit's end of life, but, like fucking Valve with Left 4 Dead 2. They still update that shit even though the game's, like, 20 years old. And I'm not saying, like, that's gotta be, like, the fucking standard, right? But, like, you know, why, why axe it if people are, like, people are still, like, people were probably still willing to buy fresh in the box Wii's just to get the fucking Virtual Console shit. And even Wii U's to a certain extent. Wii U still has a couple of exclusives that have not come to the Switch yet. Main one being the Wind Waker remake. I don't even know when or if that's ever going to be coming around, but like, you know, that still means like, oh, I have to buy a $300 fucking double paperweight to play Wind Waker HD,
right?
And like, you know, and I know why they do it business wise. I understand why. It's just that like, you know, it just sucks that they're like this because like because Nintendo's been in their own fair share of controversies and everything, but it's just like, you have no idea how much like your fans would literally die for you if you just did not do that type of shit. Like, I understand too, like, okay, we want you to focus mainly on like the new shit, right? And who doesn't understand that? As from a business perspective, who doesn't understand that? But it's just like, you know, you have like this huge crowd of people who love your old shit. And the thing is that they think that, oh, if we just play the old shit, we're not going to buy the old shit. Like, we're not going to buy the new shit. False. We will buy both. Mm-hmm. We would gladly buy both and give you more money. We would gladly do it.
And it's not like they don't have the resources to be able to, like, fund it either. Like, it's not going to distract them as a company or really even take away too much from, like, their profit margins to even, like, have a department for that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have a department dedicated to that. There's a whole untapped market there. We don't need to, like, it's already too late in the episode to even go over the logistics of why, like, you can fucking, like, piracy means there's a demand for a service. If you want that shit to stop, give us a way we can buy it legally. But there are games you literally cannot purchase now.
Yep.
Because they take it off of their old eShops. And so piracy is then literally the only way to play it.
ROMs and shit are the only ones playing on Dolphin.
And if you want that to stop, then don't be stingy and have us only play the games you want us to be playing, basically, on your virtual consoles or whatever, or your Nintendo Switch Online. Mm-hmm. And then have a way where you just release all of them and then have different, like, tier payments for it. Instead of having us just pay, like, $50 a month for the N64 or Sega Genesis, like, all the stuff that you have on there, blah, 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 all that stuff. Instead, release all of them, and then maybe have, like, a game limit. Be like, do you want to download 20 N64 games? Only 10? Mm-hmm. You want to download, like, 50? Oh, you're fucking crazy. Whatever. And then have a different, like, tiered payment system for how many you could buy. And then if you want to, even still set a limit on that, because there's only a certain amount of space on the console regardless. And then just release the whole library there instead. That way, you can beat Nintendo, you can beat the allegations of they don't give a fuck about game preservation, while still making a hell of a profit. And then again, you won't even have to worry, because, like, I really don't know or think it's true that if people just buy your old shit, they're never going to want to buy their new ones. I don't think there's anybody who bought a Switch specifically because, like,
whole body.
I'm buying it exclusively only for the NES and the SNES games and the N64 games on there. Like, no one bought a Switch for only that reason. They're buying it for your new shit, and you got a lot of cool new shit on the way as well that you're able to balance with the old. Like, the Princess Peach game looks insanely high quality. Obviously, the Mario RPG remaster is dropping soon. Mario Wonder, which they're having a direct on, which... Did that direct happen? I think that's tomorrow. Oh, fuck, I completely forgot about that.
Is there another direct tomorrow?
Wait, shit, did that happen today, or is that happening tomorrow?
I feel as if I would have known that.
No, they just announced it, like, on Twitter or something. Hold on a second.
So it's happening this week?
Mario Wonder Direct. Ah, fuck, I forgot there's a fucking direct tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
It's okay, it's, like, literally only about Mario Wonder.
Oh, I know, I'm pretty sure it's some statements from Martin A. That's probably gonna happen, too.
God damn it, I completely forgot about that shit. Fuck. Oh, well. I should have kept that in mind before we recorded. Yeah, well.
Yeah. And, yeah, like, one last thing I just want to say, too, is that, like, you know, I just had it in my head. Fuck. But, like, never mind. Fuck it. I forgot it. It was something, I don't know, it was something profound, like, not really, like, it was just like, fuck. Alright, whatever. Close it.
Well, hold up. We were just talking about game preservation, Nintendo balancing the old with the new, and how they have the resources to do both, and how they shouldn't be stingy and only let us play the games that they want to do. On top of them only being cloud storage games. Maybe have us pay an additional fee to be able to download them as well. So we can have those all on the Switch.
Oh, no. Okay, one thing I was going to say. Okay, I just remember. Thank you. One thing I was going to say was that they could torpedo every single ROM hack site. They could torpedo them all out of existence. Not like, I mean, they could also just do that through legal means, of course, as they've done. But, like, they could also do it just by, like, putting all that shit up. Like, as, like, a Valve/Steam type thing. Like, and basically just putting it in their eShop. Put all that shit in there. That's all you have to do.
Piracy means there is a demand for a service.
Yeah.
That's Nintendo just sees it as the
you
devil.
You would literally just get the piracy with a big fucking knife in hand. And just jam it into their head and kill it. Literally just by doing that. Like, you would just end the thing, like, right then and there.
The way Nintendo goes about, you know, game preservation, and more than anything, the way Nintendo goes about battling piracy, is the same way that it's the same thing as the war on drugs.
Which did not help at all.
Like, instead, they just simply tried to do something impossible, like getting rid of all the drugs and lying about what the drugs do to you to get, like, kids and people away from them and whatnot. Like, the way they went about it was just terrible. And Nintendo does the same thing. They could actually have some pretty elegant, pretty obvious when you fucking think about it solutions to this. And instead, they just like, no, all must be deleted. This is easy. Just pretend it doesn't exist. All must be deleted.
You must all be funneled into only ingesting our new shit. Like, you little piggies, like, think, where are you going? No, piggy, come here. You have to come and eat this new shit. Don't you like this new shit? I do, but I also like that. No, you like this old new shit. Fuck that old shit. Does not mean anything. It don't exist no more. We got rid of the shop. You can't get it no more.
Nintendo's War on Drugs. Potential title for this episode? Maybe.
Yeah. War on Piracy. Or even just like Nintendo's future. It'll be so weird seeing that title tomorrow, not tomorrow, but I guess on Friday. It'll be so weird considering like we would have had the direct already happen by that time.
At least it's not like a general direct. It's like literally only about one game specifically, so, you know, whatever.
Not about RPG though. Shame. That one deserves its own fucking...
what could they really say?
Just say, this game was great back then, and it's great now. You should play it.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that they made a fucking remaster of a Mario RPG this year. That's kind of...
You know what the thing is, I feel as if we are gonna, like, when we play it, that's when we're gonna just be like, I'm so glad they did this. Only cause, like, there's so much new shit coming out now. There's so much. There's always new shit coming out every month, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
This is way too much shit to do, like, to fucking all keep together. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I forget about certain things. Did y'all remember that they're remastering Luigi's Dark Moon for the Switch? No, I'm sure you fucking forgot that already, because I did.
They're remastering the Pikmin 1 and 2. I forgot about that as well.
They already did that. That's already out.
Oh, that's already out. Oh, fuck. I gotta buy that then.
Yeah, they dropped that like the same day as Pikmin 4, I think.
Was it digital only, or I could actually buy the copy?
It was digital only. The physical... No. The physical copy's coming out this month, September.
Is it soon? Like, not end of September, right?
I don't know.
All right, I'll check Amazon then.
Let's find out.
Yeah. But guys,
1 +
this
2.
was our podcast. Thank you again for listening to two idiots.
Yes, there it is.
Two idiots talk about things that they clearly have very, like, tip of the iceberg knowledge about. But here's our.
September 22nd.
All right, well, I'm just gonna go jump off my window now. But here's our plugs. Here's where you can find us. You can check us out on Twitter or X. You can find us on X and send us an X about your thoughts about our X. Here's the Spotify, here's the Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, obviously YouTube /Nintoonist. If you guys want, if this is where your primary outlet is to find shit you like to watch, and for the most part, I guess that's it. And any closing thoughts there, David?
Yeah, you best be leaving us some good, quick 5-star reviews. It literally takes 2 clicks on Spotify. You can do it on mobile. Helps with our SEO a little bit. Thank you for the ones that left us them 5-star reviews for your Uber drivers for this fucking episode of DDE.
Just to show you guys how easy it is, you can do it with one hand while you're stroking your dick. So
you don't even have to stop jacking off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just go ding, ding, and boom. There you go. Like there, then you finish. Giving us a 5 stars is the key to a great orgasm. So. So bye.